Fraud. What is fraud? Fraud means and includes any of the following acts committed by a party to a contract or with his connivance or by his agent with an intent to deceive another party thereto or his agent or to induce him to enter into the contract. The suggestion as a fact of that which is not true by one who does not believe it to be true. The active concealment of fact by one having knowledge or belief of the fact. A promise made without any intentions of performing it. Any other act fitted to deceive. Any such act or omission as the law specifically declares to be fraudulent. So, what is fraud? Fraud means the following acts should be included as a fact, as a fraud. So, this is the fraud. And next is question is the what discuss the essential elements of the fraud. The following are the essential elements of fraud. There must be representation or assertion and it must be false. However, silence may amount to fraud or an active concealment may amount to fraud. The representation must be related to a fact. The representation should be made before the conclusions of the contract with the intention to induce the other party to act upon it. Number 4. The representation or statement should be made with a knowledge of its falsity or without belief in its truth or recklessly not caring whether it is true or false. 5. The other party must have been induced to act upon the representations or assertion. Number 6. The other party must have relied upon the representation and must have been deceived. The other party acting on the representation must have consequently suffered a loss. So these are the essential element of the fraud. Next, does silence amounts to fraud? Explains with illustration. There are two types. Mere silence is not fraud or silence is fraud when something happens. So, mere silence is not fraud. A party to a contract is under no obligation to disclose the whole truth to the other party. Caveat emptor, that is the let the purchaser beware, is the rule applicable to the contracts. There is no duty to speak in such cases and silence does not amount to fraud. Similarly, there is no duty to disclose the facts which are within the knowledge of both the parties. Example, H stands for Hobbes and W stands for odds. H sold to W some pigs which are to his knowledge suffering from fever. The pigs were sold with all force and H did not disclose the fact of the figure to W. Held that there was no fraud. And for example, second example, a sales by auction to be a horse which a knows to be unsound. A says nothing to be about the unsoundness of the horse. This is not fraud by them. So mere silence is not a fraud. Here the caveat emptor, that is the purchaser should be beware of the fact. So it is a duty of the purchaser to check the goods which are good quality. It should ignore, the purchaser should ignore the bad quality of goods. So in this case, mere silence is not a fraud, but silence is fraud when the duty of person to speak, where the circumstances of the case are such that it is the duty of the person observing silence to speak. For example, in contracts of ubedimi fidei, that is contract of utmost good faith. Number 2, where the silence itself is equivalent to speech. For example, A says to B, if you do not deny it, I shall assume that the horse is sound. says nothing, his silence amounts to speech. In case of fraudulent silence, contracts are not voidable if the party whose consent was obtained had the means of discovering the truth with ordinary diligence. This is the exception to section 19. So, silence amounts to fraud or silence may not be amount to fraud. Now, what are the effect of fraud upon validity of a contract? When the consent to an agreement is caused by fraud, the contract is voidable at the option of the party defrauded, and he has the following remedies. Number one, he can rescind or cancel the contract within a reasonable time. He can sue for damages. He can insist on the performance of the contract on the condition that he shall be put in the position in which he would have been had the representation made been true. So this is the answer of the question related to fraud.